We are Brightside Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to Brightside Home Theater Podcast, the home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
There we go. Flawless. All right, that was a great week, everybody. I'll see you next week. Woo.
Peaked.
Practiced all week on that.
Doesn't get any better than that right there.
Nope. Yeah. Cut. Save that. We're going to edit that. That's going to be the open from now on. Then we'll come in. Hello. How's everybody doing? How was your week?
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
aside
good.
from home theater stuff.
Yeah, no, good.
Yeah.
You now, just so you know, guys, and in the interests of transparency, so everybody in the chat knows, everyone in the chat and on this show are now guinea pigs because I am doing a test. The new laptop's only got 3 outs on it, and I've got one is for the HDMI, one for the microphone, and one for the webcam. Right, so I can't plug it in. So at the moment we are on let's see, 86%, and we've got 3 hours and 23 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. So if I just cut out.
If we've gone that far, something's gone wrong.
Yeah,
because I'm not eating. That means I'm not eating dinner. So
it'll just be silence.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great.
So in 3 hours and 23 minutes, I'm canceling myself.
All right.
Well, that is the way to do it nowadays, right?
Well, yeah, sensibly.
I'm out.
I'm done.
I found myself to be too offensive. It's like,
I'm sick of myself.
Well, I am, to be fair. Like, I got to live with this 24/7.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody that has a problem with me, imagine me. So, but hey, for all the people that don't have a problem with us, Mike, Joe, Steve, let's see who else we got in the chat here.
Paul.
We got Paul, we've got Joe, another Joe, Aber Guy, Scruffy, Michael O, Jordan, Paul. Let's see who all we got. Carl's in there, Bill. So hey, thanks for everybody. If I missed anybody, we'll get to you. But
yeah, Paul says in the chat just as well, I've never done a Takeover Tuesday on battery power. Deej, do you remember the second Takeover Tuesday that we did where my laptop did go flat and I had to swap onto the iPad halfway through? Remember?
Yeah. Didn't I edited that out, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I edited that out. Yeah.
But hopefully that's not going to happen tonight. Hopefully.
Yeah, I was with which is next week's show, but a couple of times ago when Tom Andrew was on, we did like, it was probably the first 3-hour episode we'd have this of Brightside Home Theater. And then we talked for like an hour afterwards, and right in the middle of it, it just went boom, and his laptop just flat out died. Just like, but I'm like, you were on a charge. He texted me, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you were on a charge that whole time? Like, just sitting there. But his laptop just flat out died. Either that, it was late at night, and he was just like, screw this. And he just hung up. Oh, laptop died. He's on a tower plugged into a wall.
Well, there's that
laptop died.
There's that meme or something that's going around Facebook that says every time you answer the phone, start the conversation by saying my phone is about to die. And then that way you can just hang up whenever you want.
Well,
I'm taking notes.
John knows this because he knows me. And like all of my close friends know this. Like when I call, the most common thing I get, or somebody calls me, I'm almost where I gotta be. I got like 5 more minutes, because they know they'll get me going. And I'm like, I just want to talk. I work alone all day long, and I love to talk anyways. Right. I'm like, somebody calls me, I'm like, hey, that's why I said it in today's Takeover Tuesday. Todd Anderson of AV Nirvana, he butt dialed me on Sunday. And I was all excited.
And it turned into like 4 hours.
No, he didn't answer. It was like,
What were you discussing?
I just grabbed it. I was so excited to talk home theater. I'm like, Todd called. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I had to run outside. My wife's like, what the hell is wrong with you? So I just sat there and listened, and I could hear him talking in the background like you can, right? So I hung up. I screen grabbed it, sent him a text. I go, hey, dum-dum, you just butt dialed me. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. I don't know how I did that. I'm like, well, I go, and you're teasing me. I was all excited.
It's the wrong kind of booty call, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. So then Joe and I were watching, I think, Ahsoka, the second episode, and I'm done. And now I have a 2-minute voicemail from Todd. He butt dialed me again, but I didn't answer that. I didn't know he had called, but yeah, I'm all excited, and everybody knows that. You call me and it's like, you better have a deadline. My dad's famous for it. He always, every Wednesday, he'd call me on his way to his next job, which is an hour away from where the place is, and he'd always call me 5 minutes before he got there because he just doesn't want to listen to me talk.
Oh.
It's not me. I just tell him about everything that I like, and it's nothing he likes.
Yeah. Well, feel sorry for my poor dad. When we moved out to Spain, we drove from the Midlands here down to the south coast of Spain, which is basically a 24-hour drive if you do it straight, not including 24 hours on the ferry to go around the Bay of Biscay and go around France. And I was 14, too young to know better. And I bored him to death with some sort of new gaming system that was coming out. And I basically talked to him for 24 hours about this thing and bored the living you-know-what out of him. And to this day, he's not forgotten it. And that was in 1989.
Yeah. Well, I've told that story. My dad, every time he picked me up from the movies, it's like if my girlfriend lived on the other side of town, he was like, oh, crap. As soon as she gets out of the car, he's just going to talk to me all the way home. And he told that story at Meg's wedding to Greg's father. Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah. Because Greg's father was the exact opposite. We're sitting around the next morning, and Greg's father's like, isn't it just great when you have those moments when you're alone with them and you can just have a nice conversation with your kids? And my dad, we're sitting on like in the lobby area of where we're staying over. My dad's just sitting back, and he looks at me and goes just like this. He's like, not with this one.
No comment.
No, he made the comment. He goes, not with this one. He never shuts up. I'm like, oh, okay. So, Michael O has a great question. How do I listen to Takeover Tuesday? What platform? Takeover Tuesdays are audio-only podcasts. So any podcast provider, streamer, Apple, Spotify, Google, what else have we got? We're on, like, you name it, we're probably on it. If we're not on it, let me know and I'll get us on it.
FBI's Most Wanted.
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, because I am taking pictures before the movies. So I am on that list too, you know.
I saw those tweets.
I know. And it's like, people, still pictures are fine. It's just advertising.
Well, if you think about it, the movies are only 24 still pictures a second anyway.
Exactly. I'm just putting them all together. But yeah, so the Takeover Tuesdays, today's happened to be just me talking about all the questions and comments that we had from August. That is the new platform now, the new tweak, if you will, to the podcast, because we're having so much fun doing our experiences that that's what this is. It's all experiences all the time. Home theater experiences. So.
Yeah. Just say, you better clarify.
I saw John lighten up. Oh, boy.
Well, let me tell you about last night.
Oh, boy. All right.
It all started with a foot of rope, some maraschino cherries, and a garden hose.
You said you weren't going to tell that story.
I know.
I know.
What can I say?
You're hitting at it. I got that comment about PG-13 or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to take it easy. No, I don't mind it because you know what? Most people don't if it goes over your head. Put it that
Nobody
way.
13 and under cares about this show.
Oh, I know. No, but people drive in the car with it on and they laugh.
I know.
So, and I appreciate that because I've received a lot of comments from people about their kids are like, is that the home theater guy? And we're like, oh, that's cool because they listen in the car. So we got to be, that's why I try not to. But next week's podcast with Tom is from AV Rant. He lets some go, and then we open up a little bit. So that one there, I'm going to put a warning in front of it, but we had a lot of fun. We recorded that a couple weeks ago. So there is some F-bombs in there and stuff like that. And I was just like, whoa, Tom, look at you go. He goes, yeah, people got to realize that I swear. Okay. Oh, man. So, all right. Little bit of news today. And I was really excited. I found out about this last night, and I was really excited about it. And first thing that popped into my head when I saw this and I read it, I thought it was spectacular. I had to make a sounder for it and everything. But let me show you guys on the screen here. He's like, so Kaleidescape, they upgraded their tech and added SSD drives as an option. So you can get this new tech. It's called Terra Prime. Honestly, between me and you, I don't think I can ever get the benefit of any of this because it's like 2.8 gigabytes.
2.5 gig, yeah.
Per second. That's for your internet. And you can get a 4K movie in about 4 minutes. And like right now, I'm lucky I'm getting 1 gig to the house. So the odds of me getting any benefit out of this are slim and none. But I gotta have it because you know why?
Does it come in black?
Oh, they made them in black. So I'm like, when I first got my Kaleidescape, the first word I thought of is moving around the screen and everything. I'm like, this thing is slick. First thing I thought when I saw that, I'm like, that looks so slick. I mean, it just comes in that black metal. I was like, all right, I've spent dumb money on worse things. I gotta have that color. I'm like, black. It looks awesome. And then when you put it in the rack, all of that goes behind what you can see anyways. But I don't care. I want it so bad.
It's in another room behind a closet door.
Closet. You can't see it, but it's black. Oh my God. I gotta have it.
They sent a tweet out earlier talking about them, and I think they're saying that you can choose between either solid state drive or 2.5 gig on the normal. I think it's a choice between the two, isn't it? I think that's what they put out on Twitter. I may have misread it. I was looking at it. So that you can choose between SSD and then the speed of the thing coming over, or the faster download speed.
There's the Prime in black. Yeah.
There was something like that. So there's a choice. You've got two. You can choose SSD and then have it one thing faster, or you can have it the other one, and then you can have it download it quicker or something like that. But yeah, it does look cool.
Yeah, that's the original. That's the regular that's the 88, 48, 22, and 8 terabyte. And this is the 31 for now, 31 and 8 terabyte solid state, Terra Prime solid state. And you can see the difference between the two. It's not really showing up well on the screen here, but I'm like where I'm looking at it on my screen, it looks really nice, the black. But I mean, you can see it just disappears into the black background.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that looks so cool. It does. And it's like in 31 terabytes, I was like, I'm getting close to needing the 48. So I might have to take a hit. It probably costs the same as the 48 too. And I'm going to lose some storage space, but it's black.
Does it come in black?
I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, when I saw it, I'm like, this is really cool, but what could Kaleidescape do to improve their product? Make it in black. Nice. It's too bad I only paint cars for a living.
Yeah.
Spray paint my Kaleidescape. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was pretty psyched about that. So, but yeah, enough about that because poor Paul's probably already drunk. That's an oldie.
Actually, Joe Herzl was ahead of you there.
Wait, what?
Chat. What does DJ do?
Yeah, I paint stuff, but I see that I paint stuff, but I can't do that. I couldn't do that to.
No, I think he's asking because you can afford to buy.
I thought he was saying you could paint it yourself.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe I misread that.
Paul hasn't started yet. He's like, haven't started yet, Deej. Well, you better get going because it's going to be a long one. All right. What do we want to get to? Well, we got to get, what are we all, easy for me to say.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready? I got to take
ready.
a break and stop talking. Let me play this open. All right. That was a good little break there for my throat. What do we want to do first? Do we want to open with the one all three of us have seen?
You are the dealer as always.
We
Just not that kind of
just
dealer.
follow whatever pops up
dealer's
on the
choice.
screen. We talk about.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
All right. Why didn't I
I get
go
the
there?
feeling there's a twister game in here somewhere. I'll just hold up a ball
Yeah.
and we'll spin it. The first one will be the person. Second one will be 1, 2, or 3, and then
Yeah.
Left foot blue.
yeah.
So we're gonna actually let's open with John's first. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Here we go.
What are we talking about?
Ahsoka.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me try this too.
Joseph's in a playful mood.
There we go.
Yeah. The core of Evil Dead Rise.
Oh no.
No.
We can only go back to that well so many times. Let's take a week off.
3 weeks in a row is enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's talk Ahsoka. I can't wait. I obviously we've seen all 2 episodes. All two.
Yeah.
I had to
Third
actually
one tonight.
Is it? No, I think it's on Wednesdays. They drop Wednesdays, but for some reason last week they bumped it early. I don't know
No,
why.
I think they're every week. It's like 8 p.m.
On
9
Tuesday?
p.m.
8 p.m.
EST.
Pacific, I think. Yeah. So it's
wow.
it'll be here at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But I won't be getting up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it'll be here.
John and I speculated on that a long time ago when we were on chat, and the streaming services eventually come around to scheduled programming, and they'd pick a day of the week, and you'd be like, okay, Ahsoka falls on Tuesdays, and then something else will fall on Thursday, and then next thing you know, everything's back to days of the week and right back to like regular programming used to be. It looks like they're trying to do that.
Well, they essentially moved it up 8 hours, right? Because it was Wednesday morning at midnight PST. I mean, it did have a set day and time. It just happened to be in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Although it was like 7 a.m. for Steve, so perfect.
Yeah. Well, it used to be sort of midnight when Disney Plus kind of started. It was kind of midnight. It seemed to be whatever part of the world it struck midnight, it was available. And then it went to 8. We had it then at 8 a.m. our time. Then it became that with their day of the week shows.
Yeah.
So but this one's a weird one. This one is I think it's 6 p.m. Pacific. So we're 8 hours ahead. So we're obviously we're always broadcasting from the future.
Right.
So it's sort of so we're kind of early hours of the morning. But then I forget when I wake up. It's not until about midday I remember. So, but yeah, just to be aware, guys. I know we're very good at avoiding this anyway. But there's a number of people. All saying he had no spoilers. Guy hasn't seen it. Brockstar's waiting as well. So we better not tell them about Patrick Stewart. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
Correct.
Oh God. Oh, I'm sorry.
He
guys.
is going to come up again later in the show, but
so I hear. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I wasn't able to watch it until almost the weekend by the time, because Joe and I watched these together, and by the time we were able to sit down together, I think Saturday morning and Sunday morning we did the 2 episodes, and it was pretty good. I didn't find any spoilers online. I'm not online a ton anyways, but nothing got spoiled for me. There's not really a lot to spoil. There's a lot of world building going on.
Yeah,
So, did you guys find that?
Well, I didn't watch it till Wednesday evening. I had to dance around Twitter a little bit Wednesday during the day to stay away from it. Although, after having seen it, I don't know there was nothing super spoilery in the first 2 episodes.
Nothing that wasn't in the trailers.
Like, I feel like this is like the first Star Wars where if you didn't do your homework, you're at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
This is very much dependent on you having some knowledge of Clone Wars, somewhat, but more specifically Rebels.
Rebels, yeah.
Like if you don't know Rebels and who these characters are, you're a bit behind, because I think we've all. Well, I know DJ and I have seen it all. I don't know, Steve, if you have.
I've seen about probably 90% of Clone Wars. I've seen one episode of Rebels.
Okay.
And I kind of didn't really go back. But I know from the cultural zeitgeist who Ezra is and who, so I've got a layman's knowledge of who he is.
Lydia was a bit lost through most of it. Now, there are some pretty good YouTube catch up 20-minute or so videos out there. Like after we watched the first two, Lydia and I watched one of them so she could get some more context, and it does a pretty good job of giving you the basics. But yeah, you got to have the nuts and bolts for this. So for those that haven't seen it or are waiting, I don't suggest you binge all of Clone Wars and Rebels because it's a lot of content, but there are some good catch-up videos on YouTube that will spoil those shows for you if you ever do intend to go watch them. But but it does kind of give. If you're watching this, you're spoiling those shows anyways because you're gonna have some knowledge. But all that being said, like I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, no spoilers here. It is a bit slow. Part of that is world building. But like for me, it was like stepping into the next season of Rebels with a bunch of characters that I have a lot of fondness for. So, and I thought the presentation on Disney Plus was really good. I thought, again, I had, the Dolby Vision, and, I thought the Atmos was really good. So I was happy with it. I've seen some grumblings online, but when do you not, I guess.
You? I have.
It's mostly
anything, really.
It's mostly from the neckbeard incels that are still living at home in their mom's basement that can't.
I gotta Google what that is.
But they can't put their minds around like a female-led program of any kind.
Surely would be
but there is a lot of that online. Unfortunately, I do. Spend some time in the different forums, and I've seen a bit of it. So I don't know why I still do that, but for some reason I continue to do it. So
I watched the first episode. Well, about 3/4 of the first episode in my front room because there were other people that wanted to see it, and it was just convenient to put it on. And 2 of the 3 people that I was watching it with tuned out in about 15 minutes, and properly tuned out. And these are people that have never seen, they've seen most of Clone Wars, but not Rebels, and knew nothing about Rebels, and they just couldn't get beyond it. And so, by about, 3/4 of the way through, they had completely lost interest, and so then had I. And so I then rewatched them both then properly in the cinema room. And I 100% agree with you, John. And again, I appreciate look at the podcast we're in, but I think this is a series that needs to be seen on a bigger screen and in Dolby Atmos and everything else, because the experience was markedly different. Second time round, I was much more engaged. And again, as I said, I was aware of the characters they're talking about. I was aware of what had happened at the end of Rebels, again, because I've got friends that have seen it, and also I've read it somewhere. So I knew kind of the link between the certain characters that were apparently had their demise. And so I was aware of that, and I knew there was a link between them and all the rest of it. I really enjoyed it second time round. Watching the first episode again in the cinema room was great. And then the second episode was at least interesting. And although it is tinged with sadness, because I think Ray Stevenson's very good in it. And it's a shame that, this is his last role, because he was very, very good in this. I think it's a shame other than that, but it's good. And that shot that's on the screen now, that's one I took from the cinema room, because I just wanted to get a sense of the detail levels on it. Because I think it's really sharp, a little bit to its detriment. I think Ahsoka's tendrils look,
too plasticky.
They look rubber. Yeah. And so the detail isn't helped by that. It looks like a hat to me, but the detail on the tunic, but you know, but it looks like that, and it's not supposed to, is it? It's supposed to look like it's an organic thing. but I like the detail in her, the tunic there, the cloak that she's wearing, you know, every little stitch and every little kind of pock mark that's on it where it's been aged and stressed. I thought it looked really, really good. So home theater wise, it's very, very nice. Really, really good. And yeah, I thought it's decent. I'm looking forward to episode 3. Hopefully tomorrow.
Well, as I say, and I know DJ, you want to get your thoughts in too, but all I was going to just tack onto that is like the casting director deserves big accolades for this, because they have cast those animated characters perfectly. The few that we've seen so far, and I'm hoping we'll see a couple more that are missing so far. But even like although I think Clancy Brown did the voice of his character in Rebels and is just now taking him to live action here.
Yeah.
Sabine, of course we'd already seen Ahsoka. But Sabine looks like she jumped right off out of Rebels,
And it's so funny you say that, because that's what I was like. Did you guys watch this back to back? Like
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't. I 2 different mornings, Saturday morning, episode 1, Sunday morning, episode 2, and I couldn't wait to get to episode 2. And it allowed, because I did that, it allowed me to have that 24 hours in between thinking about it and being like, oh, okay. And I gotta tell you, it's like for like John and I that watched Rebels, we've seen all of it, couldn't wait for the next Rebels. But it felt they did such a good job, one, shooting this, like John said, casting it. But I felt like I was watching, in my memory, in that 24 hours, I felt like I was going back to the animated series. But at the same time, if I went to the animated series while I was watching it, I felt like I was gonna go back and see that. And it's so well done and brought to life. And the home theater part, the Atmos, you guys both said the Atmos is amazing. My Harmony sits on my arm chair right next to me every episode I get or anything I watch, it sits right there. It kept lighting up. And I kept pointing to Joe. I'm like, look, because when the bass rumbles, if it rumbles enough, it'll activate the little sensor and the screen will light up. Right. That doesn't happen in a lot of movies. And it's happening on a streaming. And it's like, and I was like, that is great. I was like, that's, because it is. The sound is awesome. The Atmos is great. The whole room is used. The bass, really good. I can't wait for we can say this now. We've got to be getting the physical on this, because all of these things are coming. These are going to be amazing. And there was one particular scene, not a spoiler, but a character is they're traveling. Looks like it's kind of like on a train, but I don't think it was a train. You guys will know what I'm talking about. But the 2 characters are looking at you, and it's close up of them. And in the background, you see things going by or something like that, right? And they're filming this in the volume or whatever they're calling that thing now. So it looks like, and you're watching it and you're like, oh, it's kind of a little blurry in the background, and they do that on purpose so they don't have to have a lot of detail. And then the character goes like this and looks back to where the volume, that background is. The character goes out of focus, and the background comes in to focus, and you're like, holy crap. I thought that was amazing, because I think Dave Filoni was screwing with every CGI critique out there going, oh, it's a little bit too much CGI in the background. Oh, geez, that looks real. They literally set him up and then went, and that's the only thing. Like, why would that character turn around and just go like this? I don't even think they said anything about it. It was just a one shot so that they could show you the power that they have right now, the detail that they can give. And it looks amazing. And this is streaming. And I mean, I can't wait for episode 3. It was that good. And I don't know about you, John, but I didn't go back and watch any Rebels. I didn't do anything to prep for this. I wanted to be able to be like, have some questions, and because it was a while ago I watched Rebels, but I wanted to say, I felt like I listened to #Dork, and they recommended a bunch of Rebels episodes that you could go back to get prepped. And I'm like, I've seen them. I'd rather try to figure it out myself with the knowledge that I have. And I think it's more fun for me that way, because then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Things are more surprising.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I had meant to go back to Rebels leading up to this and never got a chance to do so. Like I said, we did watch something on YouTube post the viewing, so Lydia could just have an idea of what who these people were and what was going on. And it did bring up a few things that I had forgotten, but it was very cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Paul Hurt says in the chat, Disney Plus have made a playlist of episodes of Clone Wars to prep you for the Ahsoka show.
Nice.
So that's there.
Because that's the thing too, Clone Wars is 7 seasons, but it's not all relevant to to Ahsoka or to this. And same thing with Rebels, not all of it. So, it's kind of sitting down and watching 12 seasons of TV is a lot. That's not all relevant. So
yeah. Do you remember the last episode? What was it? The last couple of or 4 episodes?
The last 4 episodes.
They were like 2 movies.
The last 4. No, it was Clone Wars though. Remember when they came back for season 7?
Oh, was that
the
Clone
big
Wars?
break? Yeah, and then they did like the 10 episodes, whatever it was. It was like 12 episodes, but the last 4, are essentially the movie that you would watch in between episode 3 and episode 4.
Yeah,
like because it leads right in. It's actually taking place concurrent with the end of episode 3, and
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. So like if I was to do a watch through of the whole thing again, I would plop those 4 episodes in between those 2 movies. Sort of like you do with Rogue One.
If you haven't seen it, you don't even need to see the first 6 episodes of the season, because if you don't know Clone Wars or anything, you probably wouldn't be interested in it. There's some Bad Batch stuff in there.
Right.
But the last 4 episodes, you'll be blown away. There's a couple of lightsaber battles in there that I know it's animated, but do not sleep on that, because they are some amazing lightsaber battles. Some of the best in Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah. And I have a feeling we're going to get that here. The way Ahsoka moves, I felt like was so, and a lot of it is animated, right? Even here, it's animated, her jumping and moving and whatever she's doing. It was so dead on that you felt like it was just like the animated series came to life. So good. So good. It's that opening scene, the little trick she does there with her sabers.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was awesome. Now I'm starting to sound like Chris Farley. That was awesome. But it was, and it that's what we want to see. And it's like, I think Filoni's doing such a good job. I mean, he created all of these characters.
Well, and he wrote
that's him.
He wrote all 8 episodes of this. So
okay.
I mean, it is literally his vision for this character because he wrote it. So, And so Jordan says in the chat, he's like, the last scene of the final season of Clone Wars gave me goosebumps. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's so good. So good. All right. Anything else? Great home theater experience so far.
It is pretty good. Yep.
Big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. Boxes of popcorn all around. All right. Let's see. Who wants to go first? Let's see. All right. Let me try this one. Here we go. Who's up? I didn't even label who watched.
That'll be me then. That's the black phone. Now, apologies, ladies and gents, for choosing this picture because it's just literally the languages screen. But again, this goes straight into it. It doesn't, or that the screen is so bright that you just can't sensibly get a picture. So I thought I'd grab this. It is not representative of the quality of the disc. And this is the black phone on Blu-ray. It's not available in 4K anywhere on disc. I suspect it probably is on Kaleidescape, but it's not in 4K disc as far as I'm aware anyway. Because if it was, I'd have picked it up.
I think it's streamed in 4K on Peacock though.
Okay, well, but again, this is on disc. We just, right. So it, but it's in 7.1 DTS HD MA, not DTSX, not Atmos. 7.1 DTS HD, which is bit odd, but there it is.
Yeah, Kaleidescape has it at HDR, UHD, Atmos, 1999.
So there we go. So hopefully it will transpire. It'll turn up at some point on disc, because I would pick it up. So the story is, it's set in the 70s, where you have a masked killer. Not a surprise, because it's in the trailer, played by Ethan Hawke, and that's the mask that you see on the picture there, who is named the Grabber, and he is killing kids. And we have a child is kidnapped. He's taken to the basement of this man's house and has to try to work out how to get out. And again, it's in the trailer, so not a spoiler. There is a phone, the black phone of the title.
It's in the title.
Basement, yes, indeed. This basement, and the phone rings, and at the end of the phone are the spirits or ghosts of the kids that have already been killed, and they try to help him to plot his escape. It's a really, really well done movie, directed by Scott Derrickson, I think. So this is the guy that did Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange film, and then he came off that and then directed this. And it's really, really cleverly done movie. Well worth seeing. It's never less than riveting. Very, very well done. And Ethan Hawke's great at everything he does, and he's particularly pleasant in this as a really nasty kind of guy. He's very, very kind of someone you wouldn't want to mess with. Now, so the video's fine. It is. Oh, there we go. So for September 19th. Well, there you go. Not far to go.
There you go.
Oh, so happy days. Good. All right. Well, while we were picking it up, so it has a
Van Gool stepping up. Let me just say, stepping up in the chat. Black Phone, September 19th on 4K on Amazon. So coming very soon. Very soon. So
there we go. Great stuff.
All right.
And
back to Steve.
Back to Steve. Yeah, we return you to your regularly scheduled broadcast. And so it has a. The video is it's been deliberately made to look like it's of its time. So it's quite desaturated. It does look like it's a film from the 70s. It's not grainy. It's been shot digitally, but it does evoke that time. Everything is just a little bit faded. I mean, you guys again. I mean, we are children of the 70s and the 80s, and so you'll recognize things from your childhood, even if it never really looked that way. I think that again is these rose-tinted spectacles we've talked about before. And the audio, though, is very nice. Now, bearing in mind it's 7.1, so it's not doing a lot of upmixing up to Neural X, which is how, of course, I watched this. But it was very, very well done. There are points where the spirits come off the phone and you can hear the voices moving around the room.
Oh, wow.
There are little creepy little sounds here and there. And the best kind of horror of this type of genre is where there are things just off frame. You're not quite sure what is there, what's coming. And so it's really effective. And one or two things in this in particular will have your room moving just how you want it. It just makes you feel like you're in this basement with these things, and you're not quite sure what's coming next. It's really well done. Lots of jump scares. Deej, you'll love it. And no Evil Dead Rising, unless you count the ghosts, I suppose, which I suppose could be Dead Rising, but not Evil Dead Rising, because they're trying to help him. So yes, it's really well done, and I think most people that have seen it really liked it. I see Jordan in the chat. Well, again, just saying there that sorry, John, lost your eyebrows completely there, mate. Saying that the Black Phone has just recently been announced, and then he said, absolutely great film, by the way. Yeah, it is. It's really good. Very, very well done movie, and a great home theater experience. So if you want to now wait, of course, if the 4K disc is out, presumably the Blu-ray will become cheaper. Or alternatively, spring for the 4K disc. I'll certainly get it when it comes out over here. So yeah, very, very cool. Recommend that.
Cool. Let's see. All right. Who is, I got to hear about this one here. Whoops. Let me pull that one down. We'll put this one back up. Here we go.
Oh, I was like, I forgot I watched
I'm adding
this.
sounders now too for this.
I know. Yeah, so just to read, this will be quick because we talked about it quite a bit last week, but just to revisit, I went back and watched the Silent Space edition on the Gravity Blu-ray that I picked up a couple weeks ago. I had never seen this version of the movie. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty unique experience. The trade-off for this is that you lose Dolby Atmos. And so you kind of have to decide what's more important to you.
Yeah.
But I felt like the absence of score. Normally, a score is used in these films to ramp up the tension, but I actually found the lack of score to be more tense and a little bit more nerve wracking because it kind of puts you in their shoes. Your space is silent, right? So you're not going to hear anything until something just comes smashing into the side of you or whatever the case may be. And you kind of feel that when you're watching this. It's very tense, the lack of score. The audio is still very nice. There were points where, having just watched it a couple days earlier in Atmos, I could tell, that the Atmos is elevated for sure, especially in the communications, the voices and the helmets and things like that. Doesn't bounce quite the same way.
The placement around the room is off substantially.
Right. Yeah, it's not quite the same. And so, like I said, you have to, because you had made the comment that like the black and white version of Logan and maybe even this version of this movie would be your preferred method of viewing. And you have to decide what's more important to you, I guess. Like, is the Atmos, which for a lot of us is why we're spending the money to get this movie, because we want the Atmos track. So like, I don't know on next visit which button I'm going to click when I hit play on this movie. But it is a different experience. And like I said, having just watched it, I wasn't any less invested in what was going on because I felt like it really kind of draws you in. It's funny to say the lack of sound draws you into it. So,
and that's why I went back and I watched the opening again in both Atmos and in this on the Kaleidescape. And I was like, on Kaleidescape, they have it as an extra. So it's not like it's a movie on its own, like a disc, like you would with a disc or something. So you just click on that. And every time you go back to it, you have to start at the beginning. It's just like starting any extra. You're like, okay, just start it again. But yeah, it's like, you're right. And here, the one flaw in the silent one is that it's so silent. That's where, if you could get it in Atmos, then that's where we're talking.
Of course, the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, sometimes the score could hide the inaccuracy of the placement, right? Because you've had other things going on. But where there's no score and it's just silent and all you hear is the voices, you're like, this would be amazing. And the funny thing is on Kaleidescape, it's listed as Atmos, but it's Dolby Digital Atmos. So it's the lossy Atmos version.
Right.
And it's not very good. And it comes up, it even said on my phone, when you look at the Marantz stuff, it just says Dolby. It doesn't even say Atmos.
It doesn't say Atmos.
But if you look at if you pull up info on it, it says Dolby Digital Atmos. But then when you watch the movie, it's Dolby True HD Atmos. Right. So there's a difference there. And if nothing else, you really do get a sense of how good the Atmos track is because of how clean and how discreet the sounds move, especially, like I said, watching that opening scene and George Clooney's floating around. And I mean, he is panning. Not only is he panning around you, but he's also panning further away from you and coming back to you at the front of the screen. And like, as he comes up closer on the right side, he gets louder and louder and louder. And then it's almost like he comes into the room and then he goes back around and he floats away. And and then when you listen to it in the silent one, it's not as accurate of his placement. It's still there, but like you said, it's like, it is amazing how the silence raises that tension.
And I do feel like there was some audio that you heard that was probably drowned out by the score in the other version. And so I think you did hear, I felt like I was hearing things that I didn't hear the first time around. And maybe I was just trying to be more attuned to it. And if I went back and listened, it would be there in the other version too. But again, the fact that there was nothing to drown anything out felt like you had some more of the like the audio that you were getting. But having only really seen it once, I can't compare too much on that.
So all right, but good experience though.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, cool. All right. I am going to start off with, we're going back in time. We're going way back, getting the Wayback Machine. We have
Oh, yeah. You think you're above the law.
above the law.
You're not above my law.
It's when was the last time you guys saw it? So we are talking
About
above the
25
law,
years ago.
Steven Seagal, and it's everything I remembered, and so much I didn't.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
They released a Blu-ray set of this of Seagal set last year, I think it was. So I saw it last year amongst a lot of others in a short space of time.
It actually isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I love the Seagal movies. I mean, they open up, I got it here. I'm like, this is what the thing looked like, the details and stuff. So that's the details. It's in HD, Dolby True HD 5.1. And then look, I even grabbed these. I upmixed it with the Dolby Surround. Still very front heavy, but the score in it did come into the room pretty good. That's what I'm getting, 5.1. That's your upmix. So, but yeah, it's just talking for people listening to the audio only, just talking about the images on the screen. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. And the Aikido, I was thinking of you, Steve. It's like, because we talk, martial arts and stuff. And the fun thing about Aikido is like watching him do it. It's the object is somebody's going to attack you. Instead of running away, you go at them. And that's what it just clotheslines everybody.
Yeah, he does. I mean, the Aikido that's in there is, I mean, funny enough, just looking at that picture that you put up a minute ago, that's the founder of Aikido. That's Morihei Ueshiba Sensei, who's the guy who, next one on. That's him there. That's the founder. Seagal's a strange chap. Funny enough, I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment from a guy called Nick DeSemiden, who's the follower of mine on Twitter. He's the editor of Empire. And he's done a book about the 80s action heroes, and Seagal has his own chapter. Because I'm a member of the British Aikido Federation, I'm a black belt first dan in Aikido, for those that don't know. And one of my sensei in locally is a guy called Mike Neri, who's an 8th dan. And he has encountered Steven Seagal in the past. Oh, yeah. And it's fair to say he's not his biggest fan.
Really?
There aren't many who are Steven Seagal fans.
I've not heard really good things about him.
No,
I hear he's kind of a bad dude.
Yeah, the Aikido that he does is a Hollywood form, and it is best left on screen, I think. And certainly it's fun for me to watch these movies back, because of course when I first saw them, Aikido, I was like, what's Aikido? And then having trained in it for 10 years plus, then kind of going back and watching them again, as I did last year, and I hadn't seen them for a long time, was interesting. And then thinking, oh my God, that's awful. What the heck? And that's not well done. And that's, but it's obviously it's for the movie, and it's supposed to be showy and all the rest of it. Yeah. Having watched sort of 6 of his movies in very short succession last year, it is what it is. As I said, this one is the most, depending on who you believe. Of course, he's got a very shady backstory, much of which is not, is not really accurate, I don't think. But this one is at least has some verisimilitude. I mean, he did train in Japan. He did actually. The Hombu, the Aikido Hombu, where Osensei was training, is in Okinawa, and he was in there, and he did spend time there. There's no getting away from that. He did do, and you can see the footage in that right in the opening of it. So this is probably as close as you get to what may have happened.
See that, and that's one of the things that I had heard about him. I never really heard, especially back then. You never really heard anything negative about him. Most of what I heard is he was the most dedicated to the arts, as opposed to some, like even Van Damme was supposedly like he was doing it to be showy. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't. And this is what I had heard back then, is that Seagal was more the martial arts, and then movies second, where pretty much everybody else was, at least Americans, I should say. you know.
Yeah, we've obviously got to be careful, haven't we? Because we're on a public show and we're live across Twitter, and anybody could see it, so we've got to be careful. But yeah, so so that we are clear. It's the lawyer in me coming out again, Deej.
Oh, here we go.
So that we're clear, these are
safe.
what we had heard, and are only allegedly tales of the unexpected.
Yeah, but the let's see, the opening, the nice audio. This is from 1988, and it is his first one too. So I didn't realize that when I picked it, but yeah, it's his first one. He's got the mullet, rocking the mullet, looks fantastic, and the picture, rich, vibrant picture. The clips of like 1969 and Vietnam, they all look like grainy, bad resolution at the beginning and stuff. And then when you get into the movie itself, everything feels so much cleaner and crisp. And I mean, for a Blu-ray, I thought it looked pretty good. It did have a few bouts of poor, like, grain, like real in some of the darker scenes. It's like real weird jump cuts. Like all of a sudden it was like, all right, this is the only clip we got. We got to use it. You're like, ugh. And so you got a couple of those in there. But did I mention the mullet and the dovetail? I loved that part too, the dovetail. And at about 39 minutes, there's a really good explosion that like comes into the room, really does envelop you. It was really good for that. But, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay. But so, yeah, that was cool. But I just thought it was fun. I'm going to do, what was the next one that he does with, what is it, Kelly LeBrock?
License, Hard to Kill?
Hard to Kill.
Yeah, it's
Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
I want to do that one next. I have a bunch of them already. I bought a bunch of them a while ago. Haven't gotten around to it. But, yeah, I wanted to start out with a little bit of Seagal. So,
but I'd say those that are in the UK, I mean, this set is dirt cheap now. It really is, and they're all relatively decent transfers. You've got, I was just looking it up on my movies app actually, because then I can say what's on there. So you've got the Steven Seagal collection. Okay, so you've got Executive Decision, very nice. Nico Above the Law. That's
in his collection. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but why?
Well, because it's got a very cool turn by Kurt Russell. No, I know what you mean. So we've got Nico Above the Law, Executive Decision, Hard to Kill, Under Siege, and Under Siege 2.
Yeah, Under Siege is awesome. I love Under Siege. Yeah. Under Siege 2 is pretty fun too. But Under Siege is die hard on the boat.
I mean, it's really cheap. It's not expensive, so it's worth picking up, guys. If you can, those that are over here. I mean, I think I got the whole thing for about £10, and that was brand new. So nice. It's very, very cheap. So there we go. All right, Jordan, just whilst we're doing it, I think you might have already just mentioned it, Deej. Favorite Seagal film? Under Siege would be yours, Deej, surely.
Yeah. Under Siege is my favorite Seagal film by far. Yeah, it's. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably say after that it's Above the Law, but I have to see it, and who knows? It could go like Conan.
Yeah, I've always liked Above the Law.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't seen any of these in a long time. So, I would say Above the Law has always been my favorite.
I think in terms of movies, I'll have Executive Decision because I'm a Kurt Russell fanboy anyway, but I actually really like that movie. And then after that, I think it would have to be Under Siege. But there's actually not that much Aikido in Under Siege, to be honest. Very little. By that point, he'd kind of gone beyond it, really.
Yeah.
And all the stuff with Tommy Lee Jones and the knife fight, all this stuff is complete bollocks.
Yeah, it's such good. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey, Under Siege is so good. If you want, go to the website and you can type in Under Siege under the search, and you can hear Todd Anderson and I talk about that. We broke that movie down a couple of years ago. Had a lot of fun with that one. So yeah, that was.
I'll be talking about a mad Gary Busey cameo next week.
Ooh,
he popped up in a film I'd forgotten he was in. That I've seen that we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
Teasers
for next week. Look at you,
big market teaser.
All right, let's do this one here. I want to hear about this because I'll explain why, but let's go with that, John.
Blue Beetle.
Yeah, Blue Beetle.
So I went to I saw this in the theaters, obviously. Now playing. So this is your standard superhero origin movie. You know, it is exactly like every first superhero origin movie you've ever seen. It's a bit like The Greatest American Hero. Guy finds a suit that he doesn't know how to operate.
Greatest American Hero.
Yeah.
Nice reference.
Yeah, has it got as cool a theme tune? That's what I want to know.
No.
'Cause I love that theme tune.
I'll be singing that all night.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
But
I'm
all
walking
that
on air.
said, this movie is a blast.
Is it?
I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Lydia liked it a lot. It's got George Lopez, who I'm not the biggest fan of all the time, but he's really funny in this movie. The Zolo Mariduena, if I'm probably butchering that, is great. Of course, he's from Cobra Kai. Super engaging. Really fun to watch. And yeah, I really liked this movie. Reviews have been fairly positive, but of course nobody's going to see it. So the odds of getting a sequel are very slim, even though this movie sets itself up to continue forward. But I would imagine we'll see his Blue Beetle crop up throughout James Gunn's DCU. The character I think is fun and definitely deserves some more screen time. But yeah, so a bit cliche, like I said, but you're just getting to the point with these movies where, it's just hard to do anything we haven't seen already, But I mean, this is not Batman or Spider-Man. Like, you can't bring this character to the screen and not do some type of origin story.
Right.
Because the vast majority of people have never heard of the Blue Beetle, unless you read comics, or I think he was on Justice League Unlimited or one of those shows. But I mean, unless you really know, you don't know this character. So he's, you got to do the setup there. But yeah, I don't know, lots of fun. It's another Shazam, Black Adam. I mean, it's part action comedy and super fun. So I would, if you can get out to the theaters to see it, I think just because the movie deserves to get some box office love. But definitely, when this thing comes to streaming, give it a go, because it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. John Thompson, love that series and theme song. Obviously, talking about Greatest American Hero.
One of the best TV theme songs that there is,
Let's stop fighting. But he also said it's a great film. Had to watch it 3 times now, as my son really likes.
Oh yeah, see, it was a lot of fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
I see. I'm one of those people that had never heard of it. I knew the film was coming, but I knew the film was coming, but I couldn't have told you anything about the character other than it was blue and it was apparently a beetle.
Right.
So that was literally all I knew.
I've read some Blue Beetle. What's his buddy there? They usually
the original
the
original Blue Beetle is Ted Kord. It's not Jaime Reyes.
Right.
So Ted Kord teams up a lot in the comics with Booster Gold.
That's it, Booster Gold.
And so this is not that version of Blue Beetle. Jaime
That's
Reyes
never
took
stopped
over.
him before, though, to bring in Booster Gold, who's hysterical.
Well, yeah. Now let's see. There are some mentions, not spoilers, but I mean there are a lot of mentions of Ted Kord and the fact that he was Blue Beetle prior. The Blue Beetle did exist in the world prior, and it was. It was not known to everybody, obviously, but those in the know knew it was Ted Kord. So I mean, some of that pops up. But Jaime Reyes in the comics has been around for about 10 years or so. He's been the Blue Beetle for a little while. A lot of people were like, why bring this version to the screen?
Well, they had to, because he had his back broken in Karate Kid show.
Yeah, right. So he needs to be in this.
He needs this. What is it called?
This exoskeleton.
Whatever.
So other than the fact that Ted Kord is just another rich white billionaire, and Jaime Reyes's Latino
Yeah.
teenager. And, of course, DC wants to appeal to that market as well, which they should. So that's the reason why you don't get the Ted Kord version as opposed to Jaime Reyes. And yeah, Ted Kord, as John's saying here, is set to team up with him in the next film. Fingers crossed we'll get a next film. But yeah, I think this was originally planned to be an HBO Max movie along with Batgirl. And then when James Gunn came in and saw some of the production of this, he kicked it to the theaters.
Okay.
But it's got some budget, it has some money behind it, it's got a decent budget and it looks really good. Again, this should be one that when it comes to, when you get this at home, it's going to be vibrant and colorful like Shazam or, and it's a Warner's disc. So the Atmos track is going to be, excellent. And this will be great fun, I think. So
see, the odd thing is I wanted to see it, but nobody had it playing in their prime cinema. Even when it came out, it was like around here. I couldn't find it. And I was like, it
got kicked right away for Gran Turismo. Even in I saw it like Thursday, which it was only 6 days after open. And I saw it at 10 a.m. because at 2 p.m. it was getting kicked out for Gran Turismo. Yeah. So it didn't get a lot of time in the good theaters.
Right.
Which is a shame. Like I said,
that. Yeah,
it does. It does kind of need it. You want the sound and you want the better picture quality. But yeah, it didn't get a lot of time. Now, again, if it was doing Barbie numbers, then it might have not got kicked out of that spot in the theater.
It never even got a shot. I kept trying to look, and I looked on every day of the week since it came out, and it was never in the prime theater here, the X Plus. And I was like, what the? And then obviously I didn't, and remember I said last week, I didn't even think I was going to get to see Gran Turismo because it wasn't either, but it did. On Thursday it went there and I bought the tickets, had to actually go on Friday, but it's, this never got the play, and I'm not going to a subpar theater to see. I'm like, I'll just wait to see it at home. I'm like, that's not worth it to me. And I even looked for IMAX because it's supposed to be really good. I mean, it's supposed to have some pretty good home theater qualities to it.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it's not performing well at the box office. So this thing should come to streaming even quicker than Black Adam or some of the other movies. This should be streaming in about 2 weeks, and you can just watch it at home. So,
I mean, I'm more interested in seeing it now that you've mentioned it, John, than I was before, because I would have quite happily just not seen this.
So I
now
can't
at least
wait for it. But
now at least I will see it, but I wouldn't go to the cinema to see it. I'll see this at, again on streaming or 4K. That's fine. Couldn't drag myself to it. Okay. Well,
it'll look great. Yeah, it'll look great. Don't expect. Don't expect a lot out of it. But it's fun. It's fun. So.
John's saying about Warner screwed the Flash 4K by putting too many extras on the disc. The Kaleidescape version and almost double the bit rate.
I heard that they went
actually
into the 4K disc, with the extras.
Put extras? Oh man, that's so dumb. Nobody does that. That's why they put them on the Blu-ray.
Complaining about that.
Wow.
And yet I've seen some reviews, high def disc. Digest.com said it was very nice. Gave it 5 out of 5 for its picture quality. Yeah. So again, with anything, it's going to depend on what size screen you're watching it on, what kind of system you've got. The bigger the screen, the more you're going to see the issues. But John is a man in the know. So he will know, but I'm still looking forward to getting hold of it. But the movie
lends itself to look great, whether it's streamed. Just the contrast that they have and the brightness. And I mean, the whole movie is in full screen, right? But those where you really notice it is when they get into those action shots, like the opening scene where you see I think those were filmed in IMAX. The rest aren't really IMAX cameras, but it's still full screen. So you don't get the variable aspect ratio, but you do get the variable quality. right? And it's like, and when you see those action scenes, they just look, you're like, holy crap. It's his suit and the colors and everything. So even if you drop down a little bit in quality, it's still going to look fabulous because it's just so bright and it looks so good. So, yeah, I think it lends itself to being I'm hoping the same for Blue Beetle.
Well, I say on some of these releases now, they're starting to forego the Blu-ray, including the Blu-ray disc. And, if that's the case, where are those extras going to go? I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad. But all right. Let's keep it positive, people. Steve, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay, right. Let us take a trip, gents, back to the 1980s.
Yeah.
To visit the film that is Weird Science in 4K and DTS HD 5.1 MA. Now, okay. Now, this is a film. Now, we are all of a certain age. All of us would have been at the appropriate, or should we say inappropriate age
for this movie. Speaking of Steven Seagal, you've got Kelly
LeBrock again. Yes, indeed. Yeah, of course, because they were married for a time, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
So this is a film. When it came out, I remember seeing it. I think I might have been slightly too young, but I remember seeing it, I think, but had not seen this since the 80s, and certainly not as an adult. And I've never owned it, never had the VHS. I don't know if it's on Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it is. But last week, I think it came out here in 4K. And I have to admit, I ummed and ahed for far longer than I should have done as to whether this would be worth picking up or not, because it could have been dreadful. And I saw a clip online on YouTube of the parents confronting the Kelly LeBrock and the kid that she's sort of has been sworn to, and it looked dreadful. And I watched this clip and think, oh God, this is terrible. Anyway, so I got the disc and I watched it. And do you know what? I had an absolute blast with it.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Nice.
Really enjoyed it way more than I should have done.
I love this movie.
Yeah. Well, when did you last see it, John?
Oh, again, I probably haven't seen it in at least 20 years. But, but I've seen it many, many times.
It was genuinely fun from start to finish, and I thought I was going to, again, especially with the subject matter and looking at a film from the 80s with 2023 eyes and sensibilities and approach to life generally, I thought it would be very troubling and actually quite hard to watch for all kinds of reasons. And yet it's not. It is a romp, and it's still silly and delightfully silly, and actually, in a weird way, for a movie where two young lads create their ideal woman who says multiple times during the film, I belong to you, tell me what you want to do with me and to me. It's actually quite smart. And I think that Kelly LeBrock's character is the most intelligent, capable, in control person in the entire movie. And so that was actually quite clever, way ahead of its time.
Is she the original Siri?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, well, I don't know. Siri doesn't do the things that she does.
Maybe not in your imagination.
No, well, hey, that family show we were talking about, Deej?
Yeah. Remember back to the garden hose and the cherries.
Made a mess.
So it was very, very fun.
Get that out of my head, thanks.
And then when we talk about the home theater side of it, now the picture is very grainy. I mean, it is grainy throughout. There's no getting away from that. Indeed, you know how you say about you start struggling a bit with the grain and then you kind of warm up to it. That's kind of what this is. But the color saturation in this, the HDR, the wider color gamut is fantastic. And I put something up on Twitter after I couldn't help myself. there has never been, I think, a more 80s movie than this, at least in terms of movies shot in the 80s. I mean, you could talk about The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler all day long, which lampoons the 80s and all the rest of it. But in terms of movies shot in the 80s, this has got to be the most 80s film ever. The clothes in it are
Johnny Be Good.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, yeah, no, this
that one.
But Back to the Future. But this, in terms of how people are dressed in this, I nearly sent you a screenshot, Deej. I was going to send you a screenshot to put up, but I did put it up on Twitter because you've got there's a shot where Kelly LeBrock is walking out of a shopping mall, and she is wearing an outfit that is, I mean, it's so 80s. It's like screaming. She's got denim and sort of chiffon, and she's got gloves and she's got leather and all this, and no one's looking at her because of what she's wearing. It's because of who she is. And then behind that, you've got Robert Downey Jr. coming out dressed like he's adamant.
Right.
And again, and again, no one's looking and laughing, but God, it's 80s.
Well, and the girls, right? Hildy, I can't remember their names, but that was so 80s.
Oh, it's fantastically 80s, and it's all part of the fun. So it looks really good with that. And then of course you get what's his face from Commando comes wandering in dressed like the guy from Mad Max 2. He's wearing the same outfit, and it turns out literally he landed that day and literally just walked onto set because he still had his outfit from Mad Max 2. So just walked on wearing that, and just does the thing. And so it looks really good, and it's a great fun. And then the audio, surprisingly, for a kind of a what would you call it? A ribald comedy, a kind of risque comedy from the 80s. Yeah. The audio has got some surround in it. There is a bit where you get dreadful computer graphics where they're creating her, and the camera zooms in, and the graphics and the noise come right around the room as it goes in. And I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. So it's not, we're not going to be giving this any Disc of the Year awards. Well, DJ might, he gives every Disc of the Year award. Anyway, just kidding, Deej. Just kidding, Deej.
Every new movie.
I'm telling you guys, HT Experience of the Year. No, I'm just kidding. But
it'll get some award.
Yeah, but it's really, really fun, and I really enjoyed this. This was so much better than I expected, even after all these years. So I recommend this, and I don't know if it's out over there yet because it's an Arrow release, and they're a bit funny about their release dates, aren't they? But if it's out over there,
I think it is
because I thought it was great. Oh, well, then it's well worth picking up.
I think
it's
is
really fun, and nowhere near as troubling as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's let me look. Let's see. It's not on Kaleidescape. Not in that, anyways. It's in it is in HD.
It's available on Amazon.
Amazon came out August 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So same pretty much release window.
Yeah.
Well, I genuinely recommend this. It's fun. If you like the movie, haven't owned it for a long time, this is the way to get it. Interestingly, VJ is just saying there in the chat, I love Weird Science. Just watched the Arrow Blu-ray. I was going to upgrade to 4K, but I heard it's not much better than the Blu-ray disc. Now, I must say, VJ, I didn't try the Blu-ray disc. I don't do a lot of A/B comparisons because I haven't got the time, in all honesty, or the patience. But I'd be surprised if the Blu-ray disc is as vibrant color-wise as this is, and all those 80s fashions leap off the screen. The color saturation's amazing. So I would be surprised if there's not much difference. I mean, it may be right, but I would be surprised. And for my money, I would say get this version because it is great fun. It really is. Well recommended. And John, when it's a decent price, get it.
The resolution's native 4K. Mm-hmm. It has Dolby Vision. This is the Arrow edition. Mm-hmm. Dolby Vision, HDR10, 185 aspect, and master audio. It's got both 2.0 and 5.1.
5.1, yeah. I'd engage the 5.1 guys because there is some surrounding it. It really is fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with this.
All right. Now I got some thinking to do.
Yeah.
Typical. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where's that one?
You'll be glad to know it's better than Evil Dead Rise.
Is that even a stretch? I mean, come on. So, all right. I've got my next one here. And this one, I ran out today. Grabbed it. It is, yeah. Did you see this, John? It came out today.
I know that it came out. I obviously haven't bought it or seen it yet. I haven't seen this since it aired on TV in the 70s. So.
Yeah.
Is this the original movie then? The first movie?
The original movie from 1978, but was released in theaters in 1979. There's a, John, you're going to want to pick this up for the young Jane Seymour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't say the title, Deej.
Battlestar Galactica. Sorry about that. Good job, Steve.
1978, by the way.
1978 it came
You
out, but it
mentioned
was
that,
released
but-
in theaters in May 17th, 1979.
But it's not
So-
the 2004-ish
No.
version. Yeah.
No, this is, and it's not the series. It's the movie.
Just the movie.
The 2 hour and 2 minute movie or whatever it is. And that basically.
I'm not sure that
set
I've
the
ever
series
seen
off.
this, to be honest with you.
It's good.
I remember watching the show, but I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to the theaters to see this as a kid, so I don't know that I've ever actually seen the movie. Didn't even know
Yeah.
there was a movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
is it not the pilot? Is it not a kind of an extra long episode or a couple of episodes put together, or is it completely different?
What do you mean? It's
Because I
you. Like,
wondered,
is this
'cause
not just the TV? Yeah, is this just not the pilot of the show?
wasn't there a film where they went to Earth? They actually found Earth. I assume that's not this
that's
one.
later.
Spoiler.
No, this is the
Yeah, I don't
beginning where they're
Yeah.
yeah. No, this is This is what the it's trying to. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of the series and you haven't seen. But this has been done in 4K. It looks great, deep blacks, vibrant colors. It should let me get you.
Not to go too into it, but is the same cast as the show? The show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think Jane Seymour made it into the series.
No, she didn't.
Has
But
a small one.
Richard Hatch, Dirk Benedict, Lauren
Yes,
Green, all those.
Yep, all of those. I think the little kid is different. For some reason, I think he was different
Foxy.
on the show. Yeah.
All
But
these
this
names
is
from my youth.
I know.
it's in English 2.1 DTS
2.1.
2.1, which is great because you get that 0.1 and it actually, so you see here, I got 5 channels. For some reason it showed up as 5 channels, but then I upmixed it. It is very front heavy. So you're not really, but I mean, it looked great. Look at that. It looked so good.
Yeah, I gotta buy that.
Yeah. And then those are a little blurry because
Vipers.
it's action
Yeah.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at when they
Oh,
go
yeah.
into battle stages and you get the reds and stuff. The pictures, I got a couple here. This one here, that's the shot of the Cylon in the ship I tried to get the one where you see the 3 of them because they always had that shot.
Yeah.
Look at
Imperious leader.
It's so good. It looked so good. And even I mean, this is from 1978. It came out so nice. I really, really enjoyed it. The DTS Master Audio, like I said, very, very front heavy, but the explosions, the bass, really cool. Really cool. It's worth it for that. But the picture alone is just, it's really well done. You can feel the 0.1 in the explosions, the takeoffs, the blaster fire, the blaster fire, all of that stuff. I was excited for this. That's why I ran out, bought it, brought it home, and watched it. But I was kind of surprised at how good it is. So it's like, if you're a fan of the series, some of the explosions are funny. So the spaceship will explode, but now they did this weird thing where you can see the space behind it like a donut and it disappears, but you can see it cut out. It's like the explosion's like going away in a round donut area. It's weird. You'll see it. Sometimes the picture's too good. But
I think I might have to get this. I absolutely love the series, but I haven't seen
Yeah.
it since I was tiny. I've stood next
same.
to the actual model of that, by the way, in real life. They had it in a warehouse in Elstree Studios in London. I was tempted to ride it, but I didn't think they'd like that.
What is it? John Dykstra from Star Wars. He went and did this. There were lawsuits. All sorts of
this
stuff.
was
Huge.
That's why this
into
didn't
Star Wars.
Yeah, this didn't last long.
Yeah.
I think it only got
So
one
good.
season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was great. The Vipers, I remember having a toy of the Viper.
Yeah,
It was so cool.
me
And the
too.
Cylons, the little Cylon.
And the missiles shot out the
Yeah.
Oh, those
memories.
chrome
Well, and that was the
Cylons.
precursor for the rocket firing Boba Fett that got canceled because because of that toy.
And then hearing the Cylons talk again, this isn't in my, obviously I'm not in my parents' house watching on a 19-inch color television with one speaker. I don't know, John. I don't know if I've ever seen this either, but it feels like you did, but it's like you're not sure. Because I bet you if I went back and watched the show right now, I'd be like,
I don't
know I
remember
saw
any
it all,
of it.
but I don't remember it, right?
Yeah, I
Because
don't
we were
really
younger,
remember
and
most of it.
And a lot of it hasn't been available in various formats. So I highly recommend. I mean, this looks.
Did you guys ever go on the Universal Studios ride of this? Did you ever go on that?
No.
Did in Los Angeles. On the way back from New Zealand in '84, we stopped off in Los Angeles and went to Universal. And this was when it was at the height of it. And you had Cylons walking around, which was amazing. And then there was a part of the tour, the Star Tours thing they did. And you go through this thing, and there was a laser battle and all that. Oh, it was great for an impressionable 9-year-old. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is giving me the itch to go back to the
time machine.
to the new to the 2004 series. Was it 2004?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. But you know what?
One of my favorite all-time shows. But I've watched it in the last 5 years at least 3 times.
Yeah, you and I have done that a couple of times. But here's the thing. I was tempted myself, but at the same time, the quality on this, I think, is better.
Oh, it is,
Picture
because
quality.
you're only
Because
getting
it's 4K.
stream. Yeah. It's not very good on. I don't even remember. I don't even know where it is now. I don't know what service has it.
That's another one I've bought a few times. The series, I haven't gotten it on the Kaleidescape yet, because every time I've bought it, I was like, it's not much better than the stream. And I'm like, And in this series here, you'll see when you see it, not this series, this movie, you'll see some tie-ins and where they got their references that you're like, oh, I know where they got that one, the 2004 character. It's good.
Well, a lot of the character name, I mean, a lot of those characters were reimagined in the remake. But
yeah, but obviously we know Starbuck and Katie Sackhoff, complete, that I love that.
Adama,
but Adama, they all had that. But in 2004, the woman in the red dress, right? That comes from here. She's but she's not called the woman in the red dress, and you'll see it when you see it here. But yeah, it's I can't recommend it enough to Battlestar Galactica fans, because it is dated acting, dated shooting, but the picture and the sound it's never been better. And it is only 2.1, but it's, it's good. Really good.
Yeah, I might have to.
I mean, since it just came out today, right? It's only $20 on Amazon, so it's already cheap.
Yeah. I just ran down to Best Buy and grabbed it, and I'm actually a little disappointed. I was just like, whatever. And I'll get that. They had 2. They had this version and the Steelbook. And I'm like, I'll just take the regular one. I kind of wish I got the Steelbook now.
Yeah.
Travis took a similar trajectory as childhood to mine. So it says, Travis says, we also went on that ride. Jaws, the Psycho House, great time. Oh, it was good. Yeah. And I haven't been back to Universal since, but nothing could have stopped those heady days. I mean, I don't know if Travis, if you could remember, the A-Team was also huge at that time, as was Kit, of course, Knight Rider. So they had the Kit car, had the A-Team van, and around the Universal, there were various things from the A-Team episodes, and you could sort of go and see them and tick them off this little card. Memories. Anyway.
Yep. All right. Let's see. All right. That was it for Battlestar Galactica. What do we got next here? Let's do this one here, Steve. I don't know why I just skipped John, but yes, let's do this one.
I don't have anything else. Just the same one you do.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is I mean, at least I'm keeping the Western theme.
Yeah,
going,
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't do any this week. Slack.
So this is excuse me. So this is Blazing Saddles on Blu-ray and DTS 5.1 HD MA. So Western, keeping it going. And I thought, well, why not have a different tone of Western than the absolute masterpiece that is Blazing Saddles? Now, assuming you've both seen this many times.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Long time ago, but yes. Well, that was a staple on HBO, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but I've got the Mel Brooks box set, and I've watched this a few times.
Now this is a film that is on the American Film Institute's top 100 movies to see before you die, and then top funniest films of all time, and all the rest of it. Movie's great, still funny, still wildly inappropriate, and you still can't help but laugh your head off all the way through, because there is a lot of you'd never get this made today, not in a million years. Can I
take maybe an inappropriate segue off of that? What are our kids going to be saying like 20, 30, 40 years from now? And because things are cyclical, right? And like you're not allowed to do so much now, and you can't make this movie today. So 40 years from now, our kid, like, is Greg gonna, my son-in-law and my son, have a podcast and be like, "Oh, this was so good," and then nothing, and it was funny. They weren't allowed to say anything back then. Remember that? Because it'll come back around. It always does. It's like, but it's so weird that we're like, you can't do this anymore, but it's fantastic. It's like,
quite. Well, it's fantastic because it's clever in its stupidity.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, it's intelligent. And also I think what I like about it.
He's so dumb, he come back around.
So intelligent, he's dumb is me. That's kind of what I get called. But yeah, I think and the target of the humor is reversed quite nicely. So the people doing the inappropriate stuff are the idiots. And the movie makes it clear that they're idiots. And so it's okay, I think, to laugh at the way they do what they do and the things they say, many of which are very difficult. And I mean, if anyone is watching this or listening to this at any time and hasn't seen it, then just prepare yourself for it. It's very of its time, and the language used, particularly racial language,
pretty inappropriate.
Very much. So. Yeah. And you wouldn't want to watch it in polite society. Don't get putting it on with the kids. But it's still very, very funny, and is still very well done. And so, the movie still holds up for me. What I wasn't quite prepared for, we'll deal with the audio first. The audio is front and center. I mean, it's in DTS 5.1, but this is all right, almost stuck in the center channel. There's not much movement, even with the songs and the music. It's all pretty closed in, although it does widen it out a bit. The Blazing Saddles theme tune is nicely right across the front of the room, so that's good. But that's about it in terms of home theater audio. The video, though, is surprisingly good. It was shot in Technicolor. And deliberately to evoke the older movies and all that kind of stuff. And it actually translates very well to Blu-ray. Don't let that shot fool you, anyone watching this, because there is a lot of grain in the sky. You'll see that. The opening kind of shots are soft and grainy because of the optical transitions and obviously the credits. But once it gets into the movie proper, it actually looks really nice and really detailed, colorful, it looks great. And for an old Blu-ray, and it is getting on a bit even as a Blu-ray, it's still great. And so you can pick this up cheap, and if you don't own it, then go get it. If you've got it, give it another watch. Again, as long as you make sure everybody in the room is in on the joke and no one takes it seriously, because you could get into some trouble with this.
If
you showed this to someone who didn't know what it was.
No. You can't quote it in public anymore.
Oh, no.
Most of it, it's
No, I'm not sure you ever could you?
We did.
Oh man. But I think it is really, really good. But as I said, if you are going to watch it and you haven't seen it, prepare yourself. But if you're going to watch it and there are people that are going to see it with you that haven't seen it or maybe don't know what's coming, you better let them know as well, because this is a movie in this day and age that could start proper arguments, if not straight up fist fights. It's very, very good. Yeah, it was written. Yeah, absolutely. That John Thompson says the reason it's so good, it was mainly written by Richard Pryor. It was. Yeah. I mean, if you, again, as I know I say it a lot, but if you watch it and then look on the IMDb trivia page, there are some fantastic behind the scenes nuggets of information about this and what was done and the tricks and that were played. One of the one of the main characters felt so bad about using the language towards one of the characters of an ethnic minority that he apologized to him. And he said, look, I'm really sorry, and was struggling to use the language. And the person to whom it's addressed said, well, I'll tell you what, you can buy me a drink. If it makes you feel better, buy me a drink for every time you say that word. And this guy said, oh, okay, well, that makes me feel better. And then the character to whom he says it got hold of the script and inserted about 160 different uses of that word into the script as a joke and didn't tell him.
That's awesome.
So he ended up buying him all these drinks.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's great. It's very, very funny and great to keep the Western thing going. So I had a great time with it. Very, very fun.
Gonna have to sit down and watch that one now.
Add it to the list. At least you don't have to buy it though, Deej.
Yeah, I know, huh? Let's see. John's still got. All right, let's do this one here. This actually just dropped on Kaleidescape the other day.
Oh, wow. That was
you better
quick.
read that out, Deej. When I say it, people start phoning in.
I know. Steve, why don't you give this one a go? Yeah. Meg 2, The Trench. So, yep. So we actually, it's funny because when we went to see Gran Turismo, they still have the posters up, and Jen and I took a picture of us in front of the Meg 2 poster, and we were going to tweet that out. And then I while I was waiting for the movie, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, it's available. I was like, you want to watch it? And she never got to watch it, but I did.
What do you think?
So it's I like the first one better because I felt like it's a better story. But what I do like about this series is, and I found, it's a great home theater experience, first off. I mean, the picture, much like the first one, like I said, crystal clear picture, great, vibrant picture. The HDR looks spectacular underwater, especially. And then when they come up and, or when you're in the lab area or whatever above water, everything looks fantastic. The sound, the audio was really good. Probably maybe, and I hate saying stuff like this because people go too far, but maybe it could have had a little bit more tactile feel in the bass. It still did have it. It was nice and you felt some stuff, but I felt like it maybe a little deeper would have been nicer and a little bit more tactile, But the picture's great pans, lots of, Steve, some of the scenes, there's a lot of crushing of hulls, there's a lot of stuff going on, debris going around, and it feels like you actually felt like stuff was on the other side of your walls. It went, it's great use of the room, great overheads, all that fun stuff. But the movie itself, I feel like it's fun. They've gotten us into a new world. Instead of going into space where there is no sound, they went underwater where there actually is sound. And so it's fun to go down there. It's fun to explore this. They can make as many of these as they want. They just, they found a new universe. Basically, that's what they've developed here. But I also feel like it's like they're like, oh, okay, we got to do this. And Steve, do you feel like they had an idea for some effects, so they wrote the story for that? Do you know what I mean?
Well, bear in mind, of course, these are all based on a series of books. So they and The Trench is one of those books. So I think there is some, but I think they're playing fast and loose with it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's very clear they were like, right, we had the Meg, singular. Well, this is the Meg 2, so let's have Megs. That's what they should have called it, Meg 2, Megs. Because now it's like let's have more Megs, and we'll have lots of Megs, and let's have some other Megs, and let's it. So there's a bit of that. You can see them going, let's just go crazy and see what happens. But what's interesting is it's directed by a guy called Ben Wheatley, who's made some very, very hard hitting kind of horror movies that are very off kilter, very strange, and he sort of just stepped into this world. So it was interesting to see kind of what he would do with it. But yeah, you say about a new world, Deej, it's almost a Jurassic World, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what they did. They kind of melded, and I thought of that watching this because it kind of opens with that. But they melded like the Jurassic World space, like the Aliens franchise, the Jurassic franchise. They put it all together and they gave them a location. They invented a location that would allow this. And I think it's very creative and fun. I'm down for part 3, as Travis says in the chat. He's like, we're gonna go like Jaws 3D, Meg 3D. Yeah. So that's what Travis saying, Meg 3D. Steve, keep your comments to yourself.
Look at this. We've got some great ones here. Paul Hurt's got flying Megs next. We're going to go Piranha 2.
Yeah.
We'll go with that flying ones. We've got Travis come back with Running of the Megs.
Running of the Megs. Yeah, I know. It's
Meg to the Future. I think this is going to be going, it's going to be, we'll be here forever. It's it's fun. It is fun. It's very leave your brain at the door, isn't it? Very much so. But there was some fun afterwards after I'd
not
seen it
as
in the
much
cinema.
as I thought it would be, though. To be fair, Steve, because like when this first came out, I was like, oh boy. But I do like what they've done. It's no more leave your brain at the door than, like I said, Aliens or anything like that, right? Because what are these alien sci-fi movies based on? They're based on a location we don't know if it ever existed or if it exists, with creatures that we don't know if they ever existed. We're just making it up. They did the same thing, but because we haven't left the planet, people are like, well, that can't happen. Like,
yeah, no, I think
but the other one can.
But there is some fun to be had, and we did after we left the theater on this. I saw it with 2 other people, and we had some fun, poking holes in the plot that you could drive a Meg through. And so that was fun. There was some fun to be had there, but I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I mean, I'll pick this up day one.
Yeah,
and when you said earlier, there's the fish is back. I thought, I know what he's seen.
The big
and
fish.
So it's I'm sure it's going to be a great disc, and it's always good. This is what I love about Kaleidescape, Deej. You get them early, you whet our appetite, quite literally in this case, with how good it is, and then we can all start sort of jonesing for the 4K discs. Yeah. So
I know. And then I get to relive it because you'll get the discs and I'll be like, I want to watch that again. It's kind of fun, but yeah, Dawn of the Megs.
That's good. It's got Dawn of the Megs. Travis has got the
That's even funny for DJ. Yeah.
John knows. We got to go back to that. Dawn of the Megs. When Greg and Meg hear this, but I got to pull this thing down here and we'll go right. Just leave that up. Dawn of the Megs. So Meg, my daughter, is a spitting image of my sister Danny, but personality-wise, she's a spitting image of my sister Dawn, who did nothing except for irritate the crap out of me growing up. Her sole goal was to irritate me, and it was like we used to get the remote control. It'd be like, okay, today's your day to have the remote. Okay, so that's how we have 4 kids, and you'd go around every day. You'd rotate who could watch what. On Sunday mornings, Dawn would put church on just to irritate the other 3 kids. And then when she put something on that was good, she'd be like, now say thank you to the good show. And we're all just like, what the hell? So Meg growing up hears all these stories, and Meg doesn't. Meg loves to do that stuff. So Dawn of the Megs is like my nightmare.
Yeah. I do like the Walking Meg. That's quite a good one.
The Walking Meg. That's a good one.
Oh, Jordan's got Megs versus Megan.
There you go. Nice. That's
evil
good.
Meg's rise.
Jordan just
evil.
That's low hanging fruit.
Evil. Did somebody
Let's
say
make
that?
him watch that one? Evil Meg rise. Yeah.
Or the Meg element.
Meg Reckoning. Oh. Where's that?
man.
Did somebody say that? Evil Meg's Rise?
No, I did.
John
I didn't know if it was in there. I didn't know if you read it.
I
That's
can be
all.
creative, DJ.
I know you can. I was in
I'm
class.
telling you
with
now, I don't care if they're doing that. I'm making that film.
Evil Meg's rise.
Yeah.
That's great.
Evil Meg's Rise. There is one line in this that is kind of like, I know we already said leave your brain at the door, but they're like, and there are multiple Megs, like you said, Steve. And they're like, oh my God, that's the biggest one, I think. Why would you ever say that at this point? They just keep running into bigger and bigger ones. Like, no, that's the biggest one. It's like
there is a line in it which I thought was funny, which is not much of a spoiler. I think it's just where I won't say what the line is, but where clearly the script writer, Meg's and Furious, clearly the script writers have decided that we've now gone too far. We've jumped the shark, as it were, and we've gone too far. And now we've got to acknowledge this. And they do a Basil exposition thing where they almost look at the audience and go, no, this is possible if we do that. And you may remember it, Deej, but they do it so clearly. It's a proper kind of, we know we've gone too far here line.
They got to get in 3. They got to get Henry Winkler.
Yeah, he had to literally jump the shark. Yeah,
Henry Winkler water skiing in a leather jacket, and then that'll be like that would be leaning into it. It'd be like, all right, Meg 3, and like the trailer is him waving. That would be fantastic.
Oh man!
All right, yeah. Look forward to that one coming to your disc player. Let's see. What do you have left, Steve?
I've got The Last of Us, and then that's my lot, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Week. Yeah, I'll quickly do that. It won't take long. Yeah, because I do want to hear about Green Room.
Okay. I forgot to grab the image for Last of Us. Let me see if I still have it. So, yep,
I can do it. Yeah, you got it.
Boom. I am on the move here. See things.
Okay.
There we go.
On the fly. Okay, so super quick because we have talked about it. I just want to update the listeners who I'm sure are concerned about this stuff.
Yeah.
So now I've done episodes 2 to 4 of The Last of Us 4K Blu-ray, and it's still great. But we know that because we've already seen it. But I haven't seen it in 4K and in Dolby Atmos. Still great. Still very good. Episode 3 still incredibly moving and beautifully told. Fantastic episode. And the last episode where we finally get some gunshots, so episode 4, proper gunfights, is really, really nice and really enjoyable and some beautiful outdoor shots. So these discs are great. And again, those who've already got it already know it's great. And I agree. And so, yeah, absolutely fantastic. This is a new level of 4K TV series for me. I think this is better looking than House of the Dragon. Because it has some exterior shots, some daylight shots that again, it's a cliche, like looking through a window. It's beautiful at times, staggeringly good at times. And so they must be shooting these at 8K and beyond, or 6 to 8K, because it just looks fantastic. And I loved House of the Dragon, as you know, but this looks even better, I would say, as a demo. It's very, very good indeed. And again, I only watched it on a 46-inch TV when I first watched it on a crappy streaming service. This is like seeing it for the first time. It's great. So there we go.
Nice.
Super quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And if I remember right, weren't you like not really a big fan of it when it first started?
No.
When the three of us were talking about it.
No, I just couldn't review the audio and the video because I knew I was watching it on a crappy streamer. No, Deej, I've completed the game 3 times. I've played, and the second one, and I know them well. So no, I really liked it. Where we had our slight discussion is kind of with them walking the line of the games and going into new territory. That's where we were sort of discussing what they were going to do with it. But no, I really enjoyed it. But I'm loving this. This is even better. So just one more, Deej.
There you go. Bill and Ted.
Well done, Jordan. Very nice.
Oh, jeez. Travis is saying, according to IMDb, Last of Us was filmed at 3.4K with a 4K master.
Wow.
So an upscale.
Yeah. I think a lot of what we appreciate about 4K isn't the K, it's the HDR. It's the gradation that we're getting, the brights and the darks and that's what's really popping to us.
There are some razor sharp details in this, some in mid to far to long shots as well. It really does make it look 3D. But no, it's awesome, very, very cool.
Nice.
There we go. Tell me about Green Room, Deej. Tell me about Green Room.
Oh, so what do you want to do next? You want to do let's say Green Room?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I've had to wait a week to find out what you thought about it.
Don't spoil it too much because I haven't seen it yet.
No.
Oh,
but this is one of
I
those
don't
ones that I've been
spoil.
trying to not text Deej all week, going, just tell me what you think. Just give me an idea, just so I know. And even earlier today, we were texting.
Why
I'm like,
didn't you?
I'm going to ask him.
I would have told you. You could have just called me.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm
Because
trying
I'd
to
love
find
to
out at
talk
the same
spoilers
time.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's see. Let's go through it first. Audio is Atmos. We got Atmos there, so you can see that's what the audio there. 4K HDR on Kaleidescape, and I'll be honest with you, Steve. It's like about halfway through this, I realized you said it had like grain, and you weren't crazy about the picture. This is beautiful. It is. The picture, crisp, clean, matrix-like tint to it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, just look at the image, the thumbnail there on Kaleidescape on the screen, and it's like you had that feel throughout the movie, like you had that a little bit of a green tint there. Just really, really good home theater experience. This is from what, 2014? I think it was. Is that right?
2016 or 17.
Oh, is it?
It's,
okay.
Yeah, I think it's 17 because it was Anton Yelchin's last movie. So I'm pretty sure that's when it was. I'll double check.
He is great. There is, like I said, the audio, really good. Very, very good. Great home theater experience. There's some
2015. Sorry.
They utilize the audio really, really well. There's a lot of this. It's got gore. Like I think you said that last week. It is gory. And they set you up so well for it too. They set you up and they did. I was telling Jen about a few of the scenes, and it's a shell game, John. You're going to be like, oh, this is going to be gross. And you just like have a ball with it. It's so
now mine's
fun.
only the Blu-ray, unfortunately, so I'm not going to get the
but it's
4K
still
or the
decent. That's
Atmos.
what I watched.
I mean,
it's still good.
Yeah. That's the horror aspect or the thriller part of it. You're not going to miss. It's like, I mean, it's that good. And again, at like 14 minutes, you got testing 1, 2, and it sounds awesome. Just like filled the room, sounded really, really good. 3420 lights out. Great example of HDR. Like that lights go out. I mean, the screen goes black. But then there's one light coming into the room, and you'll know it when you get there, John. But it's like, I know you're not getting the HDR, but it's got to still look. Steve, you know the scene I'm talking about. That still played well, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's. I mean, it's. I don't want to say what it is because it's kind of spoily. But the audio was really good. On that scene, the voices. Did you get that? And you had it in 5.1, right? So you can still get the good imaging.
So you still, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it was like, the voices, depending on where the character was, and you're in like a dark room, you're in a blacked out room, and you hear the characters talking around you. Really, really cool. 45 minutes audio really accentuates the break in the action. Great setup. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but side note, the jujitsu move performed there cannot be executed like that. Getting back to what we were talking about, Aikido, there's a character in this, and it's like in the opening, they call him jujitsu. They literally say it in like one of the opening lines. Hey, jujitsu, cut it out. And then he does some moves in this and he's executing them really well. And they look accurate. It looks like he could literally do that. There's a funny line in there in the early part of it, right, Steve? It's like, what do I do? But then later he gets a move on somebody and it's not even close. I'm like, how are they doing that? It's not even close. Not even close. And the only reason I made note of it, it's because they were so accurate on everything up until then for that stuff. Yeah. 48 minutes, duct work, banging on some ducting overhead, and the overheads grab that nicely. 55 minutes, microphone ringing in the feedback. It's awesome. Listen as it fades in and out, and it fades away, but then comes back. Great use of the room, and it was so accurate. It was that irritating. You know, like when you hear that in real life, sometimes I think maybe in the movies they tone it down a little just so, you know what feedback is. They didn't do that here. They gave you like the full frequency range and you're like, oh my God, that is bad. So really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I would say there's jump scares, John, but they're not jump scares. There's jump gore and you're just like all of us and you, boom. But it's a great story too. Patrick Stewart, yeah, he's in this.
Yeah.
He is insane. He's awesome. I thought he was awesome. I mean, can you imagine getting that script and him being like, oh yeah, this is going to be some fun. He is an awful, awful person. And I think what's awful about it is it's like he's just business as usual.
Yeah, he's very controlled in this, very dark. But then again, it's what I said to you, last when he read the script, he famously locked all his doors, set his alarm, and went and sat and had a big scotch, just because he and then said, right, that's the part I'm playing. I'm doing that. But talk about anti-casting. Yeah, I mean, he's just not the sort of person he is in real life, not at all, and not how he's always been. Everything else, well, quite. But did you find that some of the dialogue was a little kind of it's very Nolan-esque. It's kind of done in such a real way that occasionally you miss stuff and you're like, oh, okay, what? And you kind of almost need to go back and do it. And it's supposed to be hard to capture and hard to get first time round. Did you find that?
Yes, and I felt like Nolan, I felt like it's not. I don't want to say it's not important, but that's not. I mean, you're getting the story. It's not like if you miss it, like you said, if you watch it a second time, you're going to pick up, oh, I didn't even realize that. But there's some stuff in there. You're just so taken aback by the situation. You're taken aback by the lead characters. They do a great job of portraying what would be, the starving artist lifestyle, and working you right into this world. I thought it was a very well told, horror thriller that a little bit faster paced than, say, Bone Tomahawk, but probably almost as gory. Almost. Not as, but very, very good. Very surprising. I'm surprised I hadn't even heard of this before. And as a home theater, I definitely, home theater experience I thought was fantastic. So, but yeah, that hopefully, like Van Gool says, 4K streaming right now, he's saying, but hopefully we get a 4K disc someday, because it does exist, because it's 4K and Atmos on Kaleidescape. So the studio has it in 4K somewhere, they just haven't put the disc out for some reason.
Right.
So, but yeah, Stewart is amazing. Yeah. And that's, it's gotta be fun playing characters like that so outside your personality. That's just acting, right?
Yeah. So. Well, the actors often say, don't they, that it's more fun playing the villain than the hero, because you get to, you got something to chew on, quite literally, in that film. And so he's very, very good in it, and certainly playing something you've never seen him play before. It's the very definition of against type. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. We ready to get to the last one, John? I think just you don't have any more, right, Steve?
No, I'm done. Done and done.
All right. All righty. Here we go. I mean, here's my wife and I went and saw Gran Turismo. So we have that. John has seen it as well. Do you guys want to open with my tweet my text that I sent you guys?
Sure.
Then I'm like, go ahead. And I'm like, you could tell them what I texted you after I saw it. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I don't
you
have
can
it
say
pulled
it.
up. Do you have it pulled up?
Oh, I don't have it pulled up. No.
Well,
no, just the gist of it is I'll tell you what I told the guys. My wife has never seen me that emotional in a movie. Probably because she wasn't looking at me during the I just talked about the sled dog movie. That was pretty emotional too. But yes, this thing was but what did you think, John?
About what, your comment or the movie in general?
The movie in general.
I think I liked it better when it was called The Last Starfighter.
Oh my God, John, that is an awesome open. It's an amazing open. Because that is the thing about this. It is so cliche. And I said that to you guys, didn't I?
Right.
That it's so cliche that if it wasn't a true story, you'd be like, this is BS. But it's a true story.
Yeah, well, true-ish story, right? Like Steve said. But all jokes aside, like I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. But it is every single underdog sports movie that you have ever seen. Like
Right.
it is beat for beat, so cliche and predictable that
Well, isn't
like,
it?
But again, it was
It's
fun, right? Kind of
Yeah.
like what I said about Blue Beetle. Like you can't make these movies. Like, how do you do this super fresh? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but there's at least 3 occasions in this movie where he has to overcome his obstacle or he can't continue forward in the movie. And you
Right.
know that the movie has another hour and a half to go. So he's going to pass that hurdle, and then he's going to pass the next hurdle. And it's like, you just know. So the tension isn't there. Like,
Yeah, but you also know that it's a true story and he's still racing.
I get it, but so is like, Remember the Titans or some of these, you know what I mean? Like all of these
Right.
movies, they're just all the same, but it's entertaining. It's fun. It's going to rip in your home theater when you get this. Like it is going to be a spectacle to behold. Might be disc of the year when it comes out if it's done well enough,
The mix of movie storytelling and actually video game part, I thought was
it's
awesome.
super good.
It's like everything you're saying, John, is 100% correct. But what I think is that if it wasn't a true story, we would be like, what the heck? They're just,
Right.
I mean, it is every Tom Cruise practically, it's the blockbuster formula for Tom Cruise.
Right.
Dead
It's
on.
Days of Thunder or
it is Days of
know.
Thunder, Top Gun, all of them. It's, I mean, even to the, everything about it, but the fact that it's a true story and you're like, well, it's loosely based, but he did have to do all these things.
Right.
Right. And he had obstacles and he had these, so anybody did. We've all had obstacles growing up, just not as exciting. You don't make a movie about it, but it's that part of like, they did. And I loved Orlando Bloom's character. I heard a couple people talk about it like he's kind of like a snake. His character is kind of like cheesy. And I'm like,
find him that way at
no,
all.
I didn't either. I thought he was just, he's the creative mind behind it. Without him, none of this happens. It was his idea.
Right. No, and he goes, and he goes into that meeting and pitches this crazy idea that he fully expects to be turned out. Like he walks out of, he never expects this thing to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there was anything underhanded about it because he gained nothing really by this happening.
No.
I'm sure he was looked at favorably from Nissan, but there was no ulterior motive and no like, I don't know, smarminess or whatever you want to call about that character at all. I don't think.
No, he has his like questionable moments where he's literally questioning things and that's his job. Right.
Right.
But David Harbour was awesome.
Yeah, really
awesome.
good.
I don't want to ruin it for people, but I'd love to. I mean, we could chat later. But he has that one scene, and you're just like, oh my god, that's not how they expected him to handle it.
Right.
And it's awesome, but it's that I can't even say his name. We know him. He was Shazam. He was the wizard in Shazam. I can't.
He's
awesome.
Jimon Hunsu or
yeah. He plays the father, and he is awesome. And that father-son scene, that's where I was just like, oh my god. I'm like,
well,
that's where
I know what scene it was, but I also saw that coming from a mile away. So
me too.
It didn't hit me like it did you. But,
I was so invested though. I saw it all coming. I know the story. I knew I'm like, it's the whole thing, but I was so invested. and I cannot wait. And again, I saw this and I think John had said on Twitter that when he saw it, the image wasn't. I think that's the one we were talking about.
Yeah, it is.
John, and he was like, okay, so he said it wasn't very good, the picture quality. And then a bunch of people were like, oh no, we thought it was really good. So he's wondering maybe he had a bad transfer or bad theater experience or something. But I thought it was spectacular.
I mean, I didn't see this in the good theater. I saw this at the cheap theater next to my store. So I didn't get, the Cinemark XD experience with it. But I mean, I thought it looked fine. Like I said, I fully expect this to be a great experience at home. But I saw this because of you. Like, I had no intentions of seeing this movie. I really didn't.
Well, thank you.
I would have watched it when it came to disc or when it came home. But your comments about it, I was like, let's go. Sunday was like $4 movie day. It's like, let's go have breakfast and let's.
Did Lydia like it?
Yeah, she like you said, we both had a good time. Like, we really had a good time with it. But like I said, it's just every beat that came along, you just knew what was going to happen. Like, there was no real surprise to any of it, But I said the same thing about Blue Beetle. Like, all of these movies like this, they just all seem like they write themselves. I don't know what I don't know what it could have done to make me not feel that way. Because
these events happened.
Right.
Like,
well, and again, anything they could have done to subvert that would have just altered the course of the movie. Those things had to happen. I get it. But it's just like, okay, well, here he goes. Well, this is the last chance. No spoilers, but so obviously he's got to go forward. So let's go forward. And
exactly.
So,
but here's the other thing, though. There were parts where they did kind of like, I guess to your point, it's like it's. I don't want to ruin it for people, but there are parts where there's tension. If you like, I know the story, I know where he is today, but I didn't know every detail. So maybe something else could have happened within the story, but you knew the end game, right? So I thought they did a decent job with that. Obviously, spoiler free. I don't want to keep going and ruin it for anybody, but but it is. And I thought it was a very creative way to make a video game movie, tell a true story, mix the two together. And I really think a lot of people, it's getting underplayed, like Steve said, and when we were talking earlier this week, it's like everybody just thinks it's just a video game movie.
Well, it's not a video game movie at all, really.
No.
It's a movie framed around a video game. But this isn't like you're watching Super Mario Brothers or something.
Or Need for Speed.
Right.
Need for Speed is a movie they made from the video game, which has nothing to do with the video game. It's just a story.
It's just the delivery mechanism that puts him in, into this movie. And I thought I don't know the name of the kid, the main guy, but I liked him in C. I think he's a good actor. I like him quite a bit. He was in something else recently that I saw. I don't remember what, but I liked him. I thought all the performances were great. Like I said, I'm not trying to crap on it at all. I really enjoyed it, but it is just
it's hard to live up to my
super formulaic. Well, and that's the thing. You set the bar a little high for me. And
I can't help it. I thought it was awesome.
It's good. It's good, but it's not.
After you had been so effusive in your praise, Deej, I tried to see it. I tried to find it, but it's because it came out here a week before the US, and it seems to have been and gone, and you can only see it at kind of 10 o'clock at night or one showing at an awkward time on other days. So I haven't been able to see it, and I will now have to wait for disc because it's just kind of been and gone here. And John just says there, John Thompson again is saying the issue is in London. It's not in good screens. Again, similar to what I found locally. So I saw it in a cinema built in the toilets of the Odeon Leicester Square. So it has, for whatever reason, it has been and gone here, a bit like a quick car. Because it just, for whatever, and it hasn't had the same impact, I don't think, over here as it has worldwide for whatever reason. Again, but I'm.
Is it doing well? I haven't heard.
I don't think it's not really lighting anything on fire here either.
Yeah.
I mean,
on
it
this
just-
podcast, it is.
I mean, it barely edged out Barbie for the #1 movie this weekend. And I mean, Barbie's on its like 10th week, and it's still, it still almost didn't beat Barbie numbers. So it's not doing great, but like I said, it is fun. It is a good movie.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, I'll pick up the 4K again. This would have been one without you both of yours now recommendation. I would have been like, well, do I really want to own it? Do I want to stream it first? Do I want to see? But actually, now it's okay. No, I'll buy this day one. I mean, bear in mind again, we know it's a Sony disc, so it'll look and sound fantastic.
And like I said, and it's gonna like the soundtrack on this is gonna shake your room.
Well, it will have, and it will have been shot into the nth degree. And so, I'm sure that Sony will knock this out of the park. And this could be disc of the year. I mean, what are we now? We're in August. Should be out for Christmas, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it'll be out sooner than that if it's not doing well in the theater. We'll have opportunity. Digital will be soon.
Could be October, November.
Could be October, yeah.
It should be great. That'll be okay.
Because I think, and I think it will be before Christmas because I think as much as I love this movie, I think they're going to have some bigger movies coming at Christmas time, whether it's, older releases or whatever.
Well,
but
and the thing is, some of these movies might get some extra life because movies are getting pushed. Like I saw the trailer for Dune 2 before Gran Turismo, and then came home and read that it had been pushed into late next year or middle of next year.
Oh no,
March next year.
Yeah,
March 24th.
Dune.
Yeah,
March 24th.
And so a lot of movies are going to probably get second. Like I think they're re-releasing Barbie for IMAX. I just heard somewhere.
Probably, yeah.
Because they're pushing because they can't promote. The actors can't go out and do press for these movies. And something big like Dune. They want that to be $1 billion movie. It's not like, I mean, they have to make money on that. Well, I don't know if I don't think
need
it was
a lot of
be
press for that because everybody that saw 1 is dying for 2.
Probably, being a part 2, you're already in it or you don't care. But that's not the only movie that's going to get pushed. Like they're all going to.
It's a two thing, though, isn't it? They not only do they not only do they want press for it, but they need to have something in the next financial year because of this. Because the strike, of course, the problem with the strike is that's now removing their fiscal quarter results for next year. Right. So you move that to March, you trip over into April, so the new financial year, and then you've then got so $1 billion doesn't look bad on your balance sheet.
I'm not sure we'll get too many more blockbuster releases for the rest of this year.
No, I think
we might see a lot of re-releases.
Aquaman 2, and then
maybe
December. I mean, they're anxious to get rid of it, aren't they? So they can then start the new ones.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I suspect that'll still hold. And of course, if there's nothing else coming, you make your money that way. Really? Especially if it's as bad as everyone says it is. So you might want to think, well, look, there's no one else. They'll have to come and see.
I honestly think that's why Disney's given us Steelbook releases of their Disney Plus shows. Because they need money.
Need revenue.
But I what's that?
Sorry, John just said this is what I am looking forward to. I must admit.
I am as well.
Seen the trailers to this? Yeah, this looks great. Yeah. So, but it does seem like there were someone. I mean, John Thompson and I were talking about this via text the other day. I wonder whether there is at some point they're going to be like, look, we're going to need some content for next year. Yeah, we're going to need something because we've got to keep paying our investors and shareholders. So sooner or later, and June seems to be one of those for sure, where it's like, look, let's just push it back, and at least we've got a guaranteed hit next year, even if everything else kind of disappears. Right. But we'll see. But I'm looking forward to that Gran Turismo now, guys. You've sold a 4K disc on that.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't have rushed out otherwise.
And like we were saying, the Sony being a Sony disc, it's gonna be
great.
It's like somebody on Twitter, I apologize, I forget who it was like, he's like, oh, I'm glad to see it's a Sony disc. It's gonna be a Sony disc. I'm like, Gran Turismo, the Sony PlayStation only game.
Yeah. The guy on the poster is holding a PlayStation 5 controller.
Right.
Yeah, it's that's right. So, but it's that. Yeah, a lot of good information, video game stuff in there too. And did you play Gran Turismo, John?
No. I never did.
Joe was funny. He hasn't seen it yet, and he's like, "You taught me how to drive on that, didn't you, Dad?" Because I had the stick. I had with the clutch. I had the force feedback, everything.
Oh, wow.
Loved that game. Loved that game, especially when I set my theater up here because I had it before I moved here and had a dedicated room with a giant screen, and I'd set it up on like what your TV tray and be like, oh my God. Halfway through the movie and the driving scenes, I leaned over to my wife. I go, "Do you want me to have Joe come and pick you up? Because this is gonna be a fun ride home."
If you get chance to play the latest Gran Turismo on the PS5 with PSVR 2, where when you turn your head, you can look sideways and look straight ahead.
Yeah.
And it's like being in the cars. It's fantastic. That is very cool. If you get a chance to try that out, do it.
Yeah, that's what I've always wanted. I always took that view too, like you were in the car and you saw that was your windscreen, and you were just like.
This has got head tracking, so you can look around you. You can look down and see your legs. You can see your hands. You can look around the car, and it's like you're there. Very awesome. Cool.
So fun. Yeah, it was when it came out. And they say it in the movie. It's not a game. It's a simulator. So, and that's what we all said about it too. So really good. So, all right. Is that it for this week? Couple of, I did, let me throw this up there. Went and saw Springsteen this weekend with the family.
Oh, cool.
Had a blast. Had a really good time at that. So that was a lot of fun. He's old. That's
like the 37th time you've seen him?
Way more than that. Mikey and I were talking. We're like, I don't know. So doing some work around the property on the tractor, having fun with that. And, looking forward to next week. We got a big one, Steve, next week. We're reviewing. We're going to be doing.
Are we going to trail it? Shall we tell?
Yeah, why not? I don't have any images, but.
We're doing the firm. Yeah. No, that's not the one you meant.
Yeah. we are going to do that one as well. Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Great. So the firm.
But yes, we are also going to do, and you realize, Deej, John potentially will have his first opportunity to chime in on this because that was when it came out was the week John was unavailable. So this is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Density is going to be reviewed next week. I have seen the digital stream of it. I am looking forward to talking about that. Yes. So roll on next week.
I'm about 20 minutes in and on the Kaleidescape, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Me too.
Especially that opening scene. It's so good. So good. So I can't wait to talk about that next week and you others, of course. So, but that's it for this week. That's it, guys. That was easy, and we still went over. Look at that.
We're still late.
We're still late. Well, we started late.
So if we check in then, we're at 43%, but we have 2 hours and 17 minutes left on the laptop.
Nice. There you go.
We did it. We did it.
Got it over. You made it. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Appreciate. I'm not going to do the romper room and go through the names again, but thank you to everybody because we had a great time having conversations, helping us out with the show. That's awesome. Because we don't know what are we talking about here? People are telling us. Okay, thank you. That's the other fun part about this is we can communicate. We can talk more with the chat. So, but yeah, that's it. All experiences all the time. Right, John?
Right. Hey. That's what it's all about.
That's right. All right. You know what to do.
Go push play.
What he said.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.
You know what to do. Oh, don't mind. No, you don't. Hang on a second. I got to get to the right part of the board. You know what? See, I can't even do the whole show right. I got the open right. I screwed up the ending, but, No, let's try that again.
I could just say it.
Yeah. I could point.
What is that?
Go push play.
There you go. And why don't you say what he said? Because my board's all screwed up here.
Yeah, what he said.
That was, wow, what an ending.
Smooth.